Anyone's doing the walnut? I'll hold off on that thought since we're recording now. So are we ready to go, Michelle? You're muted.
Let's go ahead and get started.
All right, fabulous. Well, welcome everyone to Edible Boulevard's Cooking from Your Garden class with myself, Kelly Shay, and Michelle Shaw with Edible Boulevards. Happy to be with you guys again, and it's nice to see some new faces here to cook with us. So trying things a little bit different. It's a Saturday and we're making lunch versus evening weekday dinner. So glad this time worked for you all. I think moving forward, we may just play with this time since perhaps it's a good time for you all. So today we'll be making taco bowls. And so all of you should have gotten your grocery list, your ingredient list, and the recipes. And so we'll be going through that. And before we start, just a little bit about myself. Like I said, my name is Kelly Shay, and I am the founder, creative director of Harmonious World, which does a lot of things, a lot of branches. I host events. I produce events that fuse together the entertainment and the wellness industries, do some event planning for businesses and organizations, also work to share superfoods and nutrition and holistic health to others, which is also part of the food justice work that I do and the gardening work that I do, and how I met Michelle and was brought into Edible Boulevards to lead these cooking classes. To work using the produce from the gardens that were grown for those that were in Edible Boulevards this summer, using some of that produce from your garden. Now that it's cold winter season, we may not have much produce from the garden, but we're still calling it Cooking from Your Garden class. So using vegetables and plant-based foods. So what else? I'm also working to start a charter school that's focused on anti-racism framework, holistic, nature-based school. That's another branch and part of the work that I do, as well as teach yoga and meditation classes. So I wear a lot of hats, and I live here in Brooklyn Park. It's where I'm in now, in my kitchen, and I'm a mother to 3 daughters. So short and sweet little bit about me. Again, thank you for joining us. Yay. Let's get started.
Can I just go ahead and...
Yes, please
can
do.
You hear me? Yeah,
Yep.
I just wanted to introduce myself too. I'm Michelle Shaw, and we have an initiative called Minneapolis Edible Boulevards. And what we do is we do some funding in our green zone neighborhoods. There are some neighborhoods in the South Minneapolis and the north side of Minneapolis and Northeast Minneapolis that have a lot of environmental justice issues, health issues, have just been the victims of policies that are detrimental to the people that live there. And so that's something that we're trying to do, is to create self-sustainability and to work towards the change in ordinances to create better health in those areas. So this is one of the results of what we're trying to do, is to provide free cooking classes for people that live there, and also people that live outside of the green zone. So wanted to welcome everybody here, and we'll pass it back over to Kelly.
All right, thanks, Michelle. It's nice to get an overview of what Edible Boulevard's mission vision is and the work that you're doing. And thank you so much for your work. It's an honor to be a part of this initiative and the growth that's been happening and the funding that's been supporting it. So I'm excited. So we're going to start with getting our quinoa or rice on. Now, one thing that I always do, not everyone does this, and those that have been with in a class before, I probably mentioned it, but it's always good to rinse your rice or quinoa. Makes it a little bit easier to digest, get some of the dirt that might be remaining on it off. But I just have this organic quinoa from Trader Joe's. So the first thing I'm gonna do, and is anyone cooking quinoa for the first time? Okay, no one's brand new to quinoa and trying quinoa for the first time. I was just gonna say it's very similar to rice. So as I usually use 2 cups water, 1 cup grain, rice or quinoa, same thing, or double it. And I'm gonna make 2 cups of quinoa, 4 cups of water. First thing I'm gonna do. And the one thing that I really like about quinoa, for those, and I'm gonna move my camera around more so you guys will be able to see my cooking space, is it's packed with protein. So it's, if you are plant-based, vegan, vegetarian, it's just a great source of protein. Versus rice is good. Brown rice is the rice that I typically cook with. The quinoa just adds that extra addition to protein if your body needs it. One thing I want to say too is while we're cooking, I just like to make this like engaging, interactive, and fun. So like there's questions along the way. Feel free to stop and ask, or if there's something that I share about, you know, a way of doing something, a recipe cutting, or an ingredient, like if you have an idea or a way that you've done it traditionally, even in your culture, I'm always open to learning more better ways that might be easier, or different ideas to experiment with different flavors and whatnot. So please feel free to also share different ways that maybe you've done some of these recipes or use these ingredients. All right, so I have my 2 cups quinoa. I'm gonna do 4 cups water.
Okay, can I just share something about rice?
Yes,
Have you read about arsenic in rice?
I have. I have heard about arsenic in rice.
So I've been using quinoa much more since I learned about that. But the other thing is that I will soak my rice overnight and throw out the water because that gets rid of some of the arsenic.
Yes, thank you for that. I have heard that as well, and that is one of the reasons why I don't use it. Excuse me, don't use it as much. And I think, you know, and maybe you know more about this, like rice that I would get, like someone would get from the co-op that's organic, that would still have arsenic in it, would you say?
Yes, they say it's best if it comes from California and one other place, and it might be India, but yeah, I've just reduced how much I eat. That's my solution. And soaking it overnight when I can remember.
Yes. So I have not soaked my rice overnight before. I do that with my beans when I'm cooking bulk beans, but I usually will soak my rice for maybe like half an hour and then rinse it and not use the water that it soaks in. So that's an important piece. All right, so I'm gonna get this on. So is everyone using rice or quinoa? How many people are using rice or quinoa? Just out of curiosity. Michelle, what are you cooking with?
I'm using rice.
You're using rice, okay.
But yeah, I just wanted to add that I'm glad Velma brought that up because rice is that's what we call a bioremediator. And so it's sucking up the toxins in the soil, like sunflowers do that for lead. But yeah, we obviously don't want to be eating the toxins in our soil. So so that's just a good reminder to be thinking about those different things and to be learning about it. So I saw Rich also has rice. Do you want to raise your hands if you're using rice? I think a few people are doing couscous. I know Jean was doing couscous. Jean is not doing couscous. Okay.
Quinoa. I saw
quinoa. Sorry. Anybody else doing quinoa? My mom and dad are doing quinoa.
Okay. All right. So another thing, well, I'm just glad that you mentioned that about rice too. So the arsenic, and then also that it does really soak up what's in the soil. So that's key. And so much of our soil is depleted and full of toxins. And so here's the pitch on buy organic as much as possible. But even when you buy organic, you can't always get rid of the toxins and the pesticides and the herbicides that are going into the soil because they're water soluble. So they're in the water, they're in the air. There's no avoiding them. But the best that we can do with, you know, who we support and who we buy from and reading those ingredients makes a world of a difference. So the thing about the rice and quinoa, what I like to do is I always add a little bit of olive oil or coconut oil, real small amount, maybe like a tablespoon, and I add a little bit of salt to the water too. So I have that on, waiting for that to boil. My quinoa is soaking, and now we're gonna go ahead and start our taco seasoning from scratch. So I'm gonna move you guys a little bit closer and then tilt my screen so you can see more. Now, you guys all did have the recipe list with you, but you don't have to worry about referring to that. That's where I step in and I'll kind of guide you with what the measuring and portions. So starting with the taco seasoning. Can you guys all see and hear me okay? We're good? Okay. All right.
You're dark, but we can see you.
Okay. So cumin, we're gonna start with 2 tablespoons of cumin. I have a little bowl here. I'm just gonna use my bowl to put the cumin in. So 2 tablespoons cumin. Has anyone ever made their own taco seasoning before? No, okay. So it's really easy if you have all the seasoning ingredients to do it. And of course, the benefit is you don't have all the additive preservatives or dyes, the coloring, artificial flavors and colors that can be found in a lot of the store-bought taco seasoning, especially the packages that you buy. You know, they're so common and cheap and easy, but you know, taking a couple extra minutes, I mean, literally, I don't think this will take us more than 5 minutes to do it. So 2 tablespoons cumin. Cumin is a very grounding herb, spice. I use it a lot in my food. When I was doing more Ayurvedic cooking, I would use cumin a lot, and it's a good spice for like the cool season like that we're in now, like winter. It's also commonly in chili too. Does anyone have experience cooking with cumin? You want to share any insights on the spice of cumin? I've used it when I make potatoes. It's a nice flavor on potatoes, stir fries. So 2 tablespoons cumin, and then 2 teaspoons paprika is next. So we'll get that in. And you should have enough that will last you a while. So this is nice. You can put it in a jar and store it and then continue to use it. 2 teaspoons paprika. Did anyone make the cashew chipotle? Vegan dressing.
I did.
You did. I did too. And I'll show you guys that shortly. And I did taste it, and I think it's going to be so good. Okay, 2 tablespoons paprika. I'll move a little faster because I'm probably moving slow for some of you. And then 1 teaspoon garlic, especially if you're not looking at the list. Garlic powder.
And you're not moving too slow.
I'm not.
No.
Okay, thank you. Let me know if I need to.
Sorry, how much garlic was it?
1 teaspoon garlic powder.
Okay, awesome.
I shared this last time, but Trader Joe's has a good selection of organic spices, seasonings. So I have a lot of mine from Trader Joe's and then Whole Foods and in the co-op. Generally where I get my spices. 1 teaspoon garlic powder, 1 teaspoon onion powder. And
So can I ask a quick question? This is Rich.
yes, please do.
So I thought I had these spices on hand, but apparently I don't have any cumin. So I'm sure there's things that we can substitute to have a yummy taco seasoning.
You do have a taco seasoning, okay?
No, I said I'm sure there's something yummy that we can substitute to make.
Yes.
Yep. So that's a question to you. What would be a good substitute for cumin?
Do you have chili powder?
I do.
I think chili powder would be a good substitute. You could maybe even add a little bit more paprika for that flavor.
Okay.
Maybe even
Yep.
a little extra garlic powder. I think it'll be fine without the cumin, but the chili powder is really going to be, that's such a strong flavor itself. So I think you're okay without the cumin, but yeah, up a little bit more on the garlic and then the chili powder and then the paprika.
Okay. I'm a
Those are
big
the-
fan of garlic.
Me too. You can never have enough garlic, in my opinion. I love it. And we're using a lot of it today. Okay, so, and then after the onion powder, turmeric, half a teaspoon of turmeric is what I'm putting in. And, like garlic being amazing for, your immune system and respiratory, even digestion, turmeric is one of my other favorite spices and flavors, favorite roots. And I've had a few people close to me that have had COVID lately. And so I've been cooking with a lot of turmeric, the actual root. We're using the powder right now. But so good for respiratory and inflammation. And I've said this before, we all have inflammation at some point. So turmeric is just one of those spices that, those healing roots and herbs that I think should be a daily in some form, whether it's a tea, a drink, or in food such as this. So after half a teaspoon turmeric, 4 teaspoons sea salt or Himalayan salt. My water is almost boiling for my quinoa. And quinoa, just like rice, quinoa cooks a little bit faster than rice, at least in my experience. I usually cook it for about 20 minutes. Rice, I feel like it always takes like 30 to 45 minutes. Okay, so we have sea salt. I have pink Himalayan salt, and I also do have sea salt. There it is. And I've said this before too, that it's always good to use sea salt or Himalayan instead of just your traditional table salt, which has a lot of additives. These are naturally derived from the evaporation coming off of salt water. So much healthier than your typical salt, table salt. Okay, so I just ground up some Himalayan salt, and I think I'm gonna actually put a little bit more. 4 teaspoons sea salt or Himalayan salt, and then 4 teaspoons black pepper. My Himalayan salts, I have to grind it. I have this grinder, and I do have sea salt, but I want to use my Himalayan today. All right. My water is boiling, so I'm going to pause on my seasoning and put my quinoa in over here. And I'm going to just turn my camera. This is my stove area. So I drained out the water that the quinoa was already soaking in. And I'm going to use a thin fork to get the quinoa out and try to keep the water that it was soaking in from getting inside or getting into the pot. So I don't want that water that it was soaking in. It's harder to drain quinoa in like a strainer because it's so small, the pearls. And then once you get your rice or quinoa in, just put it on simmer. And I don't know who, I want to thank those that came last time. I don't know if that person is here, but having that survey for feedback and ideas is really helpful. So thank you for those that took the time to fill that out. And somebody actually suggested a recipe, and that was the taco bowls using walnut meat. So I used your idea, whoever that was, thank you. All right, I'm gonna turn this down. I think I should have used a bigger pot. I have seen walnut meat before, but I've never made it myself. So it was fun to learn that recipe and now to try it with you guys. All right, quinoa's on. So black pepper, 4 teaspoons black pepper, and then 1 teaspoon oregano, and then 4 tablespoons chili powder. That's the rest of the list. Now, let me know if you need to hear that again, and if you're not following along with the recipe on paper or on your computer. So.
May I ask a question?
Always, yes.
If you don't have any onion powder, do you just double up on the garlic powder?
That's what I would do personally. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
No problem at all. All right, let me get my 4 teaspoons of salt in now that my quinoa's going. Tilt this a little bit. You know, and in the future too, may move out of my space. It'd be nice to have one of those kitchens where you can really see everything that's happening. So thanks for working with us with the current setup that we have here. You know, I like my kitchen. I think it works. It'd be nice to see more of the area. Okay, moving along. A little bit more. How are we doing on the seasoning? Isn't anyone done with the taco seasoning yet?
So I may have missed something after the black pepper.
Yep, so after the 4 teaspoons of black pepper, it's 1 teaspoon oregano.
Okay.
4
And then
teaspoons.
what's after that?
4 tablespoons chili.
Okay.
All right. And 1 teaspoon oregano. I'm almost there too now. One teaspoon oregano, and then 4 tablespoons chili powder is the last one. So this is a nice batch of taco seasoning. So, and enjoy it for a while. We'll be using some of it in the walnut meat. Did any of you guys have to go out and drive in the madness last night? Did you get snowed in? I almost did. Oh, but I stopped myself.
Yeah. I drove from South Minneapolis to Mounds View and back between 5:30 up to Mounds View and then back at around 7:30, 8 o'clock. And yeah, it was greasy out, that's for sure.
It was greasy out, yes. Yeah, I was actually supposed to go to a Timberwolves game last night and had to cancel those plans because I don't have great tires for these conditions, and it just looked really dangerous. And so I stayed where I was in Egan and got snowed in, but found my way back here at Brooklyn Park. All right, well, this smells and looks delicious. So I will just show you my taco seasoning, and it's gonna make me sneeze. Whew, whew. Okay, just went away. It's like when you tell someone you're gonna sneeze and then it doesn't happen. So there's my taco seasoning. That's ready. So I'm gonna put that aside. Is everybody done with the taco seasoning and ready to move along to the next? Thumbs up, cool, Jean. Because we're now gonna do our Pico De Gallo. So for the pico, 2 tomatoes. Everyone's good. I'm gonna keep moving along, okay? So 2 tomatoes, I have 2 Roma tomatoes. And I'm gonna use this bowl. And then you're gonna wanna use half a cup of red onion. It can be regular onion. I'll move you guys closer now. See my work area. Give them a rinse. Okay. Did anyone have tomatoes growing in their garden like late in the season? I know there were a few people that still had tomatoes in November. Had a few.
I'm
I
still.
did.
You
Oh,
did.
go ahead. Jean?
I got red tomatoes in my farm share this week. I got green ones 2 weeks ago that never ripened correctly. So I wonder what you do with green tomatoes. Maybe we could do a recipe on that.
Oh, you know what? Lately, most recently, over the last year, I've learned about green tomatoes. I've been making fried green tomatoes, and I love them so much. So that's what I've been doing with them, and I've been using, olive oil or avocado oil to fry them in. So, a healthier oil, and then, and just flour, coat it in flour. I know some people, I will use like egg, it'll stick to it a little bit better to use that. I've used a cornmeal, an organic cornmeal to fry them into, which is good. But that would be something to do. We could do that sometime, make fried green tomatoes. I'm sure there's a lot of other recipes with green tomatoes that I haven't done any other ones yet. Okay. So you cut your 2 tomatoes, then you're gonna do 1/4 cup of onion, red or white. And as you cut and get things ready, you just put it right into a bowl. So I have my bowl here that I'm gonna be putting in that. And as far as the size of the tomato, I think that's totally your preference, how small you want your chunks in the salsa. All right.
That's what we wanted.
So I'm gonna put mine in. Tomatoes are a good source of vitamin C. Okay. All right, and I did get a red onion. And I don't know if I have a 4th cup. Or measuring cup. I have a 1/2 cup. So a 1/4 cup is a little less than a 1/2 cup. So I'm not going to quite fill up my 1/2 cup all the way. So after you get a 4th cup of onion into the bowl, you're then going to juice a lime. A couple different ways that we can juice the lime. Go.
I'm sorry, was that a 1/4 of a cup or a 1/2 cup of onion?
1/4 cup. So what I was
Okay.
saying is I actually don't have a 4th cup, like measuring
Ah,
cup. So
gotcha.
I'm filling my 1/2 cup a little less from the top.
Gotcha.
That seasoning that I just made has got my nose watering. Whew.
So I got a confession to make. I'm not really a good measurer.
You're not, okay.
I mean, I have measuring cups and stuff, but when I cook, I just kind of throw stuff in.
You're like me then, because I do that too.
You know,
I do
what
that.
if-
I do that a lot.
Yeah.
And I
What
think
if
I've shared. Oh, go ahead.
What if I throw a 1/2 cup of onion in there? Oops.
I think do it. I think it's fine. It's not much of a difference, so I would go for it if I were you. I really like onion personally, so
Yeah. Me too.
little extra sounds good. Same with garlic. So we it's 1 clove of garlic. If you like garlic, I would add 2 cloves. So I got my onion in there. And I'm gonna use 2 cloves of garlic. Now, as far as the lime goes, because I did mention grabbing a lime, you can just slice it in half and then just squeeze it in there. And of course, you'll have to pick out the seeds. The other thing, and I have one, is one of these juicers. Really easy. You can just get them anywhere. We'll slice it, and I'll show you that. Actually, I'll put the garlic aside and get this lime in here. So what I like about these things is it just makes it easier to get the seeds out before you pour the juice in. Does anyone have one of these really handy juicers? Limes are so good for digestion and our immune system, full of the vitamin C. And I've actually been using lime a lot more in my teas and my like immunity tonics that I've been making with ginger, turmeric, ginger and turmeric and cayenne. I've been using lime a lot more, and I really like the flavor. So I'm just going to pour this lime juice right in there. In the citrus fruits too, lime or lemon, oranges, also just help to get the body back in a more alkaline state. And that's something I, want to hit on too, is with the foods that we're using today, the plant-based foods, are more on the alkaline versus the acidic side of our foods. And most of us, when we're experiencing dis-ease or inflammation or just anything uncomfortable in the body, it's always tracked down to acidity levels, what's causing that inflammation, what's not being fully cleared out through our lymphatic system or adrenals or kidneys. But the citrus fruits are one of the best ways to cleanse and clear and get things kind of moving through the systems, as well as reducing that inflammation. All right, I have my whole lime juice in there. I may have to pause and go blow my nose and wash my hands. Whew. Okay, so like I said, I am using 2 cloves of garlic versus the 1. Now, if you've already moved along, and I'm going too slow, after you get the tomatoes, onion, garlic, and lime in there, then you're gonna wanna use half a jalapeno. And of course, if you like spice, add more. It'll be the half of a jalapeno. I have a pretty big jalapeno here. And then it's a 1/4 cup of cilantro. So Pico De Gallo is like salsa, right? It's just like a quick and easy homemade salsa. There's a lot of different ways to make fresh salsa. You could even put it in a food processor if you don't like the big chunky chunks of tomatoes. I like chunks of tomatoes in my salsa personally. So this is why I want to try this. And of course, next time around, if this is like too much, and I know we're kind of a little behind on the timing that I had said, but I think we're going to be all right. You could just get a store-bought salsa. Fresh is always best, but due to time, sometimes just buying pre-made stuff makes life a little bit easier. So I actually am putting 3 cloves of garlic in here. And when you use garlic, you guys probably already know this. I don't think there's any brand new cookers in this class, but I always press down on the garlic to squeeze some of the juices before I dice it, just to kind of activate all of those enzymes and flavors before putting it in the dish. I think we talked about that last time in the last class. You can get a garlic press and then chop, or just use a knife to do that. All right, so I have that in there. I have my jalapeno. I'm gonna use half of it. I did grow some jalapenos in my garden this summer, but this is not from my garden. And there's a comment here, so I will try to catch the comments. Okay. I didn't get the cashew sauce recipe. Should I drain the water or not? I don't think you can soak the walnuts too long. Mine have now been soaking over half an hour. I could drain them now. So Jean, are you doing the cashew? Because the cashew dressing, you'd want to soak them overnight, or 8 to 10 hours, I think is what it said.
Yeah, they've been soaking for a really long time. I just didn't know if we kept the water or did we drain them off because they've been soaking for 12, probably 12 hours now.
Okay, yep, so you drain the water out. Yep,
And we just leave the walnuts in the water, right? For right now?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Yep, I would just, yep, set those aside and leave them in the water. We're gonna get to that next, as soon as we're done with our pico here. We'll get to the walnuts. And I should have put this on the list or the recipe list or noted it somewhere. Some of you probably, assumed, but for the walnuts, we are gonna wanna grind them up in a food processor. I have a NutriBullet. If you have a blender, if you don't have a blender, simple old school way, what I used to do to grind up nuts is you put it in a Ziploc bag, a plastic bag, and use, I don't know, a bowl or a can or a hammer and just chop them. Pound the bag and chop it up. Because for the walnut meat, we'll want it to look like crumbles. Kind of like the mock, like boca meat that you see. That'll be the size. All right, so jalapeno. So this is done. After jalapeno, half a cup cilantro. And you're gonna season this to taste. So season it however you like. So here's how my pico's looking so far with everything in it except the cilantro. And then I haven't added salt or pepper. And you know what? I would say I do like to experiment and not always follow a recipe. So, another thing that would be good too is you could even add some garlic powder or onion powder to this. You could even sprinkle a little bit of your taco seasoning in it. Why not? That might be good. Or put some aside and try that, see what you like it, and not put that in the whole batch. That's also another idea. All right, so I have my cilantro. It says a fourth a cup. I would probably just do a half a cup, add a little bit more, because that's what I got here. That's what I'm gonna do. Cilantro is one of those herbs that are very alkalizing, refreshing, cooling for the body. So it's, great in the summertime. The iron in it, zinc, like a lot of the green leafy vegetables, like our kale that we'll use later. So this has been already rinsed. I'm gonna fill up my cup, my half a cup. And so for the cilantro, if you really love cilantro, you could just put it in just as the leaves that they are. Otherwise, you could chop it up. A shortcut that I like to do sometimes with fresh herbs, instead of chopping, is I'll just like hold the branch and have a scissors and just like cut it right into the dish. So that's another idea too. I do that with my basil a lot. So half a cup. Quinoa's looking almost done. So trying to experiment with timing here. And I know 90 minutes always goes much faster than we think. One of the things we got from feedback was, having some time at the end for us to show off our food and sit down and even maybe take some bites together. We may not get to that point. Maybe we can. We can stay on a little longer. I certainly can do that up until the finish point. Okay, so how are we doing, everyone? Is anyone all the way done with their pico? Okay, I know you guys mute in between saying anything. All right, so I want a little bit more cilantro. Then sprinkle in your seasoning. The recipe just has a dash or two of pepper, and it says half teaspoon of salt. But again, add more if you feel like it needs it. So I would do a taste test with your pico and then set it aside once you feel like it's to your liking. I'm gonna keep my cilantro leaves pretty big here. I'm actually not even gonna chop them up. So just to show. This is how it's looking. Looks delicious. Quick, easy, refreshing. I would consider this a quick thing to make. Of course, if you're not watching someone cook it or prepare it, and you're not teaching others how to make it, it'll go much faster. So, my opinion, this is a quick, easy salsa. I am going to use my sea salt, and I am an intuitive cook. I don't always measure. I'm just gonna sprinkle some salt in there, some black pepper. I am actually going to use a little bit of garlic powder, because it's always good. I'm gonna use a little bit of onion powder in mine. Give it a mix. And if any of you have tortilla chips, this would be another nice thing to use with the taco bowl, is to dip tortilla chips in it, or use the tortilla chips to eat some of your salsa. So what I would do, since you have a nice amount here, given the portions that we use, is I'd put it in a jar. If you have like a mason jar or something with a tight lid, that can store for a few days. I would say this should be good, 2 to 3 days. I would probably use it within 3 days, depending on the type of container that you have. All right, I'm gonna taste this. Ooh, yep. I'm satisfied. I'm going to put cover over mine, and I'm gonna put it in the fridge for right now, as everything kind of marinates and those flavors really soak in to the tomatoes. And then we're gonna get to our walnut meat. So next, go ahead and drain your walnuts. So mine have been soaking for a little bit over 30 minutes. Here they are. So what it looks like, those little pieces kind of get come to the top. It gets a little filmy. So, and that was 2 cups of walnut meat, or of walnuts. So I'm gonna go ahead and drain. And after you drain the walnuts, go ahead and give them a rinse. So walnuts are awesome, because not only are they high in protein, and so soak in your nuts too. If you do like nuts, and you're not like making something like this, I always recommend soaking your nuts, your raw nuts, before eating them. If you can make the time, even overnight is great. And you could even put them in the oven a little bit. And this just makes it easier for the body to digest. Some nuts are not easy to digest, especially if you have any like gut issues or digestion problems. Soaking your nuts is always a really good idea before eating them. So the walnuts, as I was saying, great source of protein, but also omega-3s. So really good brain food. Some people take fish oil for getting their omegas and getting just like more efficient, like brain functioning in general. But walnuts are good for that too. And a good vegetarian or vegan option if you don't want plant-based. So I have a NutriBullet. I'm gonna just put my walnuts in here, tilt my screen. So that's the first thing we're gonna do. We are gonna use a skillet for this. So if you don't have a skillet yet out on your stove, is anyone not making the walnut meat? Okay, everyone is making the walnut meat? Okay. So they're already a little damp, right? Because they've been soaking. So that's gonna make it easier for the blender, the blades to grind them up. My NutriBullet, actually I'll bring it over here. You guys can see the space a little bit better. And then we're gonna get ready soon here to start our pan. And actually what you could do, if you have a moment, is you could put a little olive oil, whatever oil you're using, into a skillet. And start warming that up, because we're gonna do the onion and garlic in there before we add the walnut meat. All right, let me move this stuff out of my way.
So if we have them in the blender, how chopped up should they be? And I don't want it to go into butter.
Right, right. So I didn't chop them up at all. So it's gonna be like you're gonna pulse it really quickly. So this is where you could experiment with not even using a food processor, a blender at all, and you could just kind of hammer them or use some tool and just kind of crunch them into the size crumbles you want. Because yeah, when you do use a blender, it can be a little bit, you can't control it as much. So that's why I would just kind of like pulse it a little bit at a time, give it a shake. So that's what I'm gonna do here now. I might have some smaller pieces, but it shouldn't get creamy. The cashews got creamy really quick when I made the chipotle dressing.
Can someone tell me how much olive oil we need?
Yeah, for the pan, I put like a tablespoon.
Thank you.
No problem. I'm gonna get mine going too. And then for this, for the wall, you're gonna use 1 onion. It could be a small onion. I actually have almost a whole onion. I'm gonna just use the rest of this for the walnut meat. You're gonna chop the onion, use 4 tablespoons of garlic, and that's what you're gonna get in to the skillet. Okay. And then you'll also want to get out your coconut aminos or soy sauce. I have coconut aminos. I shared this last time. This one is my absolute favorite. I find this at the co-op. It's an organic one. And I recently hip to coconut aminos like in the last year. I think it tastes way better than soy sauce or Braggs. So, Shell, to your point, so here's the size of my walnut pieces right now. And I think there's some bigger chunks in there. I might leave that. Well, no, I'm gonna do one more blend. But my food processor got them to about like this size, if you can see that good. Okay, I'm gonna do that one more time. Then I'm gonna just set that aside. Okay. Bowl out. I'm just gonna put these in a bowl, put it off to the side. And one thing that you could add, I found this recipe off Pinterest, and I find recipes a lot off Pinterest, and then tweak and adjust and kind of make them my own. So I didn't do it this time around for this recipe, but the original recipe that I found for walnut meat actually used sun-dried tomatoes. Sun-dried tomatoes in oil. So, excuse me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I did not hear what you just said. I'm sorry. Could you repeat the last
I
thing,
should-
please?
Yeah, so the recipe that I got, this walnut meat, the walnut meat recipe that I found, had also suggested as an optional of using a 1/4 cup of sun-dried tomatoes in oil. And so that would be another option to add a little bit more flavor to this. And so what you could do is, if you have sun-dried tomatoes, you could do that. The ones in the oil, you could add a little bit more oil, or just even use a little tomato sauce if you want kind of more like a tomato flavor in the walnut meat. But so I was saying I didn't put that in the original recipe. So here's my walnut meat. I'm gonna set that aside. Now I do still have some chunks in there. Like here's a whole walnut. And what I would say, if you still have some walnut pieces that didn't get broken, I would actually just use my fingers. And because they've been soaking, they are pretty easy to just crumble. So that's what I'm gonna do with those pieces that the blender didn't quite get. All right, let's go ahead, get that onion and garlic into your skillet. I am gonna move my computer over to the stove.
So Kelly, while we are doing one of these things and kind of simmering or chopping or whatever, it'd be great if we could go around and let people introduce themselves.
Yes. I thought about that too, and that might be a nice way to start in the future. So I would love to hear from you. Would anyone like to start just by introducing themselves? What about you? What brought you here today? How you got connected with Edible Boulevards?
So is everyone gonna have their food in the pan then? Is that where we're heading towards to have
Yep.
people? Okay, awesome. Yeah, well, Mom and Dad, do you want to start?
Sure. We're Daryl and Linda Shaw from Owatonna, or you want to say who you are?
No, I'm just wanting to look
We're related to Edible Boulevards
through.
as Michelle is our daughter, so. And we love the cooking classes. Thank you. And we're snowed in.
Snowed in, yep. So it's nice about the virtual world.
I'm Angie Wyatt, and I know Michelle through Minnesota 350. And I'm always interested in finding more plant-rich recipes, so that's why I'm here. I'm just watching today instead of participating.
Okay.
But
Great.
Angie actually has a farm.
You do? Nice. Do you do CSA through your farm?
Nope, it's 240 acres, so we do small grains and sweet corn.
Got you. Okay. Lovely. Well, nice to meet you. Thanks for just sitting in
You bet.
and supporting. And so even as an observer, just watching, I think, Michelle, do we have another survey to give out at the end?
Yep.
That's really helpful too, just from that perspective of just observing the flow and the structure and what you think might be working well or could improve. All right, so got my.
Hey, Kelly,
Yeah.
can I interrupt?
Yeah.
What all are we putting in this pan? I got a half an onion and I have blended up my walnut.
Perfect.
And it looks lovely. What
Great.
else is there?
Yep, so the
Am I
onion,
missing something?
nope, the onion and the garlic. Did you do 4 cloves of garlic? Did you say garlic? Yep.
I haven't done the garlic yet. I gotta
That's-
cut up more garlic.
Yep,
All right.
okay, so
Very
4 cloves
important.
of, it is. And that's exactly where I'm at right now too, is getting my garlic in the pan. I have my
Oh,
onions
I
in
gotta.
here.
Yeah,
And-
if that was on my game, I would have prepped everything like they have in the cooking shows, and they would all be in their little containers, all measured out, and
Right?
but
And
I'm not on top of my game.
it's okay, next time, maybe. And I try to be on top of my game too. So I had some stuff pulled out in bowls and ready, but not everything. All right. So let's get our garlic in there. And then you're actually, once you have your onion and garlic in the pan, you are gonna add a tablespoon of, you can then put your walnut meat in, the exciting part, and then add a tablespoon of taco seasoning. And then 2 teaspoons of your aminos, your coconut aminos or soy sauce.
Okay, so wait, are we cooking this for a little bit before we add anything?
Just the onions and garlic can be cooking right now.
Okay,
Once are your garlic and onions, are they cooked, Michelle? Are
no,
they-
I'm just putting them in.
Okay, all right. All right, so once your onions and garlic are in, actually, I would say the next thing, let's do the aminos. Let's make the more saucy before we add in our walnut meat and the rest of the stuff. All right, I'm using a lot of garlic. Okay, here we are. Did anyone else want to introduce themselves? Was that everybody, or Vicky, are you with us? Hi.
Yes, I'm here. I'm actually cooking along with you, but I'm multitasking as well. So I just turned my video off, but
That's
I'm
okay.
loving it. And yeah, I'm still here and with you. I'm in Oklahoma City, and I've been to some of the cooking classes here before, and I just love it. So I'm glad to be a part again.
Oh, good. Yay. Thank you.
Sure.
All right. My garlic is ready.
And we've got Jean. Although, sorry,
Oh.
Jean, I caught you.
Well, wait, hold on. Hi, I'm trying to get my walnut meat in the, do we put the walnut meat in shortly after the garlic and onion, or wait a little bit?
I would cook the garlic and onion maybe for like 3-4 minutes and then add the walnut meat. So right now, I just have my garlic and onions here. I'm actually gonna go ahead and put my coconut aminos in, and then I'm gonna put the walnut meat in.
So I have been on a search for coconut aminos and I haven't found them yet, but
Really? Okay.
Joe said that we might find them at our Whole Foods or our local co-op. So I'll keep
Yes.
trying. But I'm using the tamari sauce today. Is
Yep.
that okay? Okay.
Perfect. Yep. Tamari is great.
I'm Dean Ross. I'm coming to you live from South Minneapolis. This is my third cooking class. I've enjoyed myself. I am a good friend of Michelle's. Thank you for putting this on. Miigwech.
Thank you for being here. All right. I'm gonna just rinse my top here, my lid. Realize need that.
Let's head to Rich.
Okay, I can talk. I was holding off because I was cutting garlic and I don't want to cut my finger.
No, don't do that.
That sucks.
Don't
So-
touch your finger.
My name is Rich Harrison and I'm coming to you from Minneapolis. I'm on Humboldt Avenue in the Greenway in an old 105-year-old building, my apartment. And I met Michelle just last month and a half or two ago. Where was that, Michelle? Was that at the pumpkin giveaway or was that at the
Yep, that was-
harvest?
Pumpkin
Yeah.
love.
Nice.
Pumpkin love. That was so much fun. I gave so many pumpkins away and matched them with, people like to pick pumpkins like, the personality or it matches them. Anyway, I work for Metro Blooms. I'm co-director of design and a landscape architect with Metro Blooms. And I'm very interested in edible boulevards and the work that you're doing. And this is my first cooking class ever. I do love to cook and I am a kind of a haphazard, messy cook that doesn't measure. I don't measure much, but everything always seems to turn out well. So I've been told. So I guess I got it.
You
So
got
thank
it.
you. I appreciate you all.
Thank you for being here. So nice to meet you.
Yeah, for sure. I'd love to talk more about everyone's interests someday.
Yes.
Hopefully we can do this in person at some point.
Be so much better, but you know what? This works well. It's convenient, especially on the days where there's so much snow on the ground. This time of year, I think it makes it a lot easier. All right, so I'm gonna just show you guys where I'm at here. Onions, garlic. I added it's a teaspoon of your soy sauce, tamari, coconut aminos, whatever you have. Okay, that's what it looks like. I am now gonna put my walnut meat in here. So here's that. Just to the side. I do have some big walnut chunks still. I'll chop it up. And this does not need to cook long. It says 4 to 5 minutes. I'm at a medium, about a medium heat. You can also add some lime. If you have another lime, which you should, because of the grocery list, we got quite a bit because of our guac too.
So just 1 teaspoon of the coconut aminos?
1 teaspoon. You could add a little bit more, but the recipe that I was looking over is 1 teaspoon. Yep. Oh, you know, I was looking at the wrong thing. I'm sorry, it's 2 teaspoons. I was looking at the oil. 2 teaspoons. And then after your 2 teaspoons of the aminos, whatever you're using, a tablespoon of the taco seasoning. So I have my taco seasoning here, and find my measuring spoons. Oh. Big old tablespoon of this. You might need to add a little bit more oil. Olive oil or avocado oil. I have my lime here. I am going to squeeze a little lime into this. The recipe that I was originally looking at said a whole one juice of a lime. You can do that. I'm not going to do a whole juice of a lime. I'm going to just squeeze a little bit in there. Stir it around. Okay.
Okay, sorry, I'm a little behind because I'm just getting the walnuts in here.
That's okay.
So now we're adding the lime.
Yep. So I would squeeze, you could do 1 whole lime or half a lime, depending on how much lime flavor you want. So a tablespoon of this taco seasoning that we made, and then half a lime to a whole lime, the juice.
Then how about our heat source? What's going on there?
Yep. So I would have that. I have mine at a 5, so medium heat. I'm actually going to turn it up a little bit to a 6. And then this would just cook for about 4 to 5 minutes. I'm going to add a little bit more. Now, if you want it to get more like brown, you might want to turn it up to like a 7.
I don't have numbers on my oven.
Okay, well, like a little above medium, between medium and high, but not on high.
I think the stove is as old as the building.
Oh. So here's what mine looks like so far. You guys can see that. Good.
Oh, yeah.
I do have.
This is awesome.
Well, good. I'm
I
glad
love
that
it.
it's working for you. Okay, so I'm gonna just let that cook. So here's where, if you had sun-dried tomatoes in some of the oil, I can see that that actually would be a yummy flavor. I wanted to try it without, for the sake of, you know, experimenting with my own recipe, but that is, that would be good. And let's see if I can have some. So It's also if you just have tomato sauce. I mean, you could do ketchup, but I maybe wouldn't recommend that. If you want a tomatoey flavor and you don't have sun-dried tomatoes and oil, you could use a little bit of tomato sauce or even tomato paste and then add a little bit more oil. And you could try putting that in there. Oh, you have like a
I
chili.
bought some of this chili garlic sauce. I like to put it in my eggs sometimes.
Oh, yum.
It's-
Okay.
It's
I've seen
Hung Foods Incorporated.
I've seen that before. I haven't tried it. I like sriracha. It looks like the same brand as sriracha.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yep. Okay. Well, you could experiment and you could put like a teaspoon of that in your walnut meat. I don't know. Or that could just be topped off on your bowl for a little spice. When it's all assembled, top it off with some hot sauce. Okay.
So can we review what went in after the lime?
Did you do the taco seasoning, the tablespoon of your
Yep.
seasoning? Okay.
Yep.
So that would actually be, so we have our onions, our garlic, our walnut meat, the olive oil, of course, the taco seasoning, a lime, half a lime to a whole lime of the juice, and did I say coconut aminos or soy sauce? And then that's it. That is it. So this looks good. I think mine is about ready. I'm gonna put up the lid on for 1 more minute and I'm gonna start opening. I'm using the same pan for my veggies. I'm gonna put this in a separate container. And then I'm gonna start sauteing some peppers and onion if you want. And then we're gonna do the kale. We're gonna do all that together and then pour in the black beans and then warm all of that stuff up. And while that sits, we're gonna quickly make our guac and then we're gonna be done. So we are probably gonna go over a little bit of time. If you have to head out, that's okay. Thanks for your patience and flexibility with the timing. Okay, so I'm gonna find a container to put my walnut meat in. A little bit here. Any other plans for the rest of the day? Anyone? Staying home, staying safe, warm.
Well, I plan to watch
Plan to what?
a soccer game at 2:00. It's the Major League Soccer final.
Oh,
Portland Timbers is playing New York City Football Club in the final of the Major League Soccer season.
nice.
I'm a big soccer fan, so.
Okay. I don't know, it's one of my best friend's birthdays today and I'm supposed to get together with her and I'm gonna bring her a little bit of this food. Okay. I'm feeling good about my walnut meat being done. I have a container here that I'm gonna put it in. I will show you guys mine one more time. I got it a little bit more brown. Well, I wanted to turn it up the heat a little bit and I added a little bit more oil just so it could, brown like you would brown hamburger meat or turkey meat or mock meat, So that's kind of that's what it's looking like now. And I'm just gonna put it in here. So it stays warm. So I would say that this is a really protein-packed meal without meat because we have our quinoa, we have our walnut meat, and we're gonna add our black beans. So even if you're not using quinoa and you're using rice with the walnut meat and the black beans, well, that's plenty of protein. Okay, so this looks good in here. I'm gonna put a lid on. My quinoa is definitely looking done. I used a really small pot to the top. All right, so I'm gonna use the same skillet for the next thing, and then I just already have some of those flavors in there, which is nice. So now this was optional. We're just getting the pan ready to warm up our beans, but adding a few veggies to our beans. Okay, so I had suggested a pepper, a red or yellow pepper. So you can start getting that ready. Oh, I actually did have a sweet potato was optional. I have a Japanese sweet potato. I actually might skip that just because of time. It'll take a little bit longer to cook, but you could add a sweet potato, so onion, a pepper, and then we'll let that cook first. So that's what we'll get out now. I have a yellow pepper. I'm going to use a little bit of my red onion. Turn this pan back on medium to low. Put some more olive oil in here. Excuse me, I'm gonna go blow my nose. You guys keep hearing me sniffle. That taco seasoning got me going. Yeah.
I had been baking the sweet potato, so hopefully mine won't take very long.
Oh, that's a good idea. I wish I would have thought of that, Michelle. To bake the sweet potato, that always makes things a lot faster. And then putting it in. All right. So, pan's ready. I'm gonna get my onion sliced. I would also say it would be another nice addition, and you could add some mushrooms. Onion in here. Anyone doing any traveling over the holidays this year? This month, I mean? I'm not. I wish I could tell you I was going someplace tropical, but I'm not. Soon enough. I will be staying here. I'll be taking some time off of my day job. All right, I'm using half an onion. I decided to use half an onion. I'm gonna put that in the skillet. It's already warm. I have a yellow pepper here. I'm going to get that in.
Seems to be a good year to stay close to home.
Yep. Yep, I think so. I think it's getting kind of crazy out there. I'm seeing lots of good deals on traveling now. And some of the cruises too. I saw some commercial the other day. It's like a 7-day cruise for $299. Boy, are they desperate to get people. Hard to pass up, but might not be the safest decision. I don't know. All right, so I'm chopping up my yellow peppers. Just in little squares. I always get the white stuff off. I'm still composting. Put that in the compost.
Are you putting garlic in this one as well?
You know, I thought about it. I because of time, I think I'm gonna skip the garlic, but if you got everything else in, you want to add some garlic, I think it would be even tastier by putting garlic in here, for sure.
Awesome.
I was going to then just add some garlic powder, some salt and pepper, even add a little bit or taco seasoning. And then we'll go ahead and add the black beans. When my black beans are coming from a can, I always rinse them first, or strain them and then rinse them.
I don't know if anyone's had good luck growing black beans. I tried growing black beans this year and did not get very many growing. But maybe I just need to plant more.
Wow, I've never done that. That's a great idea. What I was gonna say is you don't necessarily have to add garlic or onion powder to these veggies that are sauteing up. You can just add your taco seasoning, but it's got that in there. So I would let those veggies cook for about a minute on medium, and then let's put the black beans in here. All right, so I'm gonna turn that up. I'm gonna put my lid on and have just this organic can of black beans that I'm gonna use. Okay. And if you gotta go, I understand. If you can hang in there with us. We're almost ready to make the last thing, guacamole. Doesn't take long. I'm gonna strain these black beans. All right, so give you guys a look here at everything on my end. Just a moment. Okay, so
How much of the spices do we put in?
I eyed it. I tend to do that, but I think I would say that I probably put in half a tablespoon or a couple of teaspoons worth of the taco seasoning into the pan. Yep. All
And
right.
so no garlic powder, just the taco
You know,
seasoning.
yeah, because it's got that in there and those are the flavors we want, and that's why we made our taco seasoning. So I would just use the taco seasoning in the veggies and beans.
Okay.
So here's how mine's looking. It would have been yummy with a sweet potato. I might even add that later, like for leftovers tomorrow or something like that. So I just have my onions, my yellow pepper, and my black beans. So we'll cover that and put it on medium or like a 4. And then if you have your kale, we're not going to put the kale in quite yet. Kale doesn't need long to cook, and it's nice when it still looks nice and green. So we don't want to put the kale in quite yet while we're making the guac, because it'll make the kale look darker. It's nice when it's a little bit more fresh and like, well, it's already fresh, but more vibrant and green. Just has a lot more of the nutrients if it's not cooked as much, right? So you can get your kale ready if you'd like. Otherwise, my kale is already rinsed and ready, and I'm just gonna cut or rip off some pieces and put in there and let those kind of steam with the beans and the veggies for like a minute or two before we serve up. So the last thing is their guacamole, but I just want to check in with people on kind of where they're at. Is everyone who needs a little bit more time to get our veggies and beans warming before we move on to the guac? Are we ready for the guac? You're muted, Michelle. I do see your mic moving now.
Mom and Dad, how are you? Almost ready
We're
for
still
guacamole.
Plugging. I didn't hear how much of the spice to put in again.
Yep, so I would use about two
The-
2 teaspoons.
the,
Yep, I would say about
Okay,
2
thank you.
teaspoons of taco seasoning. Yep. Your avocados are not
Okay.
ripe. Yeah. Oh, and yeah, speaking of the cashews, my avocados, I think are perfect. So I'm really excited. So, and I'll show you the cashew.
And Vicky, how are you doing?
Just till we get all.
I'm
the
doing
big- we'll
fine.
just get all the
I'm
big-
improvising a lot here. My avocados weren't ripe. So I'm just gonna be watching the guac today. So
Okay.
you guys carry on. It's all good.
Okay. All right. So our guac.
Rich, are you doing okay with yours?
Yeah, I was just rinsing my kale.
Okay,
Perfect.
So I am ready to start prepping for the
For the guac.
guacamole. Yeah.
Okay.
So
All right.
we need to go back over it since my mom and dad are still working on the other.
Okay, that's fine. And I can talk slow too. So we are gonna use 3 ripe avocados. I got 4 avocados. You could use 4. I love guac, but actually I'm gonna save one. I'm gonna use 3. I have my bowl here. I'm gonna move this closer, you guys can see me. Oh, we have our avocados. And I just squeeze it in. You can also use a spoon. I don't know if there's anyone here that's never made guac before. If you've never made guac, you can just squeeze the avocado in. I like to not waste, of course. So you can use a spoon and just make sure you get all of the insides. The pit, throw away, put in your compost, you know. So 3 avocados and 2 tomatoes. So there's my one. Any of the brown parts that you see in the avocado, you can just pick out, scrape out, and not use that. A little brown doesn't hurt anyone though. You could leave it, depending how brown it is. Avocados are just one of these divine fruits. I love them so much. Such a great healthy source of fat and omegas too. So I don't like to waste them, or any part of it, I should say. I don't consider them cheap either, so use every little bit of this fruit that I can. They're a really great source of like energy too. I have been really enjoying avocado toast in the morning lately. That's just a good vegan breakfast. Putting some sea salt, tomatoes on there, and olive oil. It's been really yummy, like little olive oil drizzle on my avocado toast. You have like a truffle oil or a balsamic. If you like avocados and avocado toast sounds good, that would be yummy. Drizzle of balsamic or truffle oil. Okay, so you're gonna want a fork. I want a fork to mash down the 3 avocados. Okay, so put the 3 avocados in your bowl. I'm just gonna start to mash it. And then after you mash your avocado, go ahead and chop 2 tomatoes and let's get that in there. Is this anyone's first time making guacamole? Okay,
A long time.
been a while though. Okay. So I have my 2 Romas. I'm gonna get those in there. And after you put 2 any tomato, once you put 2 tomatoes in your guac, then you're gonna chop up or cut about 3 tablespoons of cilantro. So using our cilantro again. Okay. What am I better knife? There it is. Okay. Almost done. I don't know if anyone else is hungry, but I'm ready to eat. I'm ready to eat. Smells so good. And again, with the just like with our pico, you know, cut the tomato to the sizes that you like. You like smaller pieces in your guac or a chunkier guac. I'm leaving mine kind of chunky and not like finely chopped. Now for the cilantro, and that is optional in guac. I've had plenty of guacamole. I've made a variety of different guacamole a variety of different ways. I don't always use cilantro in my guac, so I thought I would try it this time. Oh, you say something?
Oh, yeah, I said some of us can't eat it like so.
Oh, okay. So you can skip that.
Yep, it's genetics.
It's genetic. Oh, okay. All right, so almost done with my tomatoes. And then cilantro, about 2 tablespoons, and then 2 cloves of garlic. All right, so I got my tomatoes in here. I'm gonna, before I do anything else, I'm just gonna give it a mix. Thanks for the love, Vicky. Okay. Looking good. Okay. Cilantro. Here's where I'm just going to take some off of the stem. Make a little pile here. Roughly 4 tablespoons. I'm eyeing 4 tablespoons. So very similar to Rich. I don't always measure for the sake
right.
of for the sake of, you know, cooking with you all and, you know, guiding you guys along. Measuring is very helpful. So I understand that. But if you know how much cilantro you like, just choose how much you want. I'm kind of eyeing out what I think is about 3 tablespoons. That can be a lot. You guys ever put cilantro in your smoothies? Does anyone, or juices? Does anyone juice or make smoothies?
Was that what you use your machine for?
That what I used for blending up the walnuts.
Yeah.
I make my smoothies in the NutriBullet. So
NutriBullet, yeah.
Yep, NutriBullet. It's small, it's easy, you know, just to move around and use. I've had it for a long time. The blade isn't as strong as it could be anymore. But that's what I use for my smoothies. I also do have like a Ninja, like a bigger blender that I'll make bigger batches of like fruits, smoothies. Then I also have a juicer. I
Wow.
also had a juicer, so.
I think I'm starting to develop my Christmas list.
There you go. Okay, getting some ideas. All right, so this is about how much cilantro. I'm gonna add a little bit more. And then I'm just gonna pick it up and I'm gonna just cut it with a scissors. I just wanna make it easier. I really like using scissors for the herbs, again, like I said earlier. All right. So I'll just grab like a handful, kind of scrunch it, and then just cut it in there. You can see that. Thanks for working with me and this computer too. I think these ideally in cooking classes, you know, you can see the whole kitchen area and there's a big camera set up. This is what we're working with for now. So I'm just slicing this in here, cutting it in here, my cilantro. Get 2 cloves of garlic. This is where you're gonna want to use another lime. So let me get the garlic in here. After your garlic and lime for your guac, then it's salt and onion powder. So if anyone's a little bit ahead. And I'm putting more than 2 cloves of garlic in here. Because that's just how I do. If you're a garlic lover, that's just what you do. Especially.
Did anyone plant? Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. I didn't catch that.
I was wondering if anyone else planted garlic. I was able to get a bunch of garlic planted. My mom did. Yay.
Really? Oh, good. Nice.
That's
I
the
did,
first.
I did also.
You did also? When do you plant that usually, Michelle? You got that in this fall?
Yep.
I should have done that. I did not make the time. I want to do better with growing garlic because it's such a staple in my home. It makes all the sense. All the sense. Okay, so I got my garlic in here. I have another lime. I'm going to use my little juicer thing here again. And we'll get that in there. Okay. A whole lime, squeeze in there or juice in your guac. And you know, if some of the pulp gets into the juice or to the guac, I think it makes it even more flavorful. So I wouldn't worry about that. All right, so here's my juice. I'm gonna pour that in. I have my onion powder and my Himalayan salt. Now, it's a half a teaspoon sea salt. You may want to turn down the veggies on the stove. So half a teaspoon salt. Actually, we'll use my sea salt. Put that in. There's a little extra in there, that's okay. And then the onion powder, half a teaspoon onion powder too. And so I have all of my ingredients in for the guac. I'm now gonna mix it up. And another thing that I've added to my guac before too, especially if you like a little spice, I've added red pepper flakes. You could add some more of your jalapeno. There's some jalapeno left.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So I'm kind of feeling that idea right now.
Where's that at? There it is.
Put a little spice in there. I'm gonna grab a tortilla chip and test this out and see what else it might need.
How much powder did you say?
Half a teaspoon of onion powder and half a teaspoon of sea salt. All right. And I love the flavor of lime. And I put a whole lime in there. I might even put a little bit more lime personally. So just play with it. Use that intuitive cook that you have inside too to alter it how you want. All right. I'm gonna put a little bit more salt. I'm gonna use the Himalayan salt this time. I am gonna use some of my jalapeno because I have some left and I think that will taste really good in there. And then once your guacamole is to your liking, go ahead and get about a bunch of, or one or two stems of kale, however much kale you want in yours. Put that in the pot. Okay. If you even wanted more like seasoning or flavor in your salsa, you could even put some of that taco seasoning in there. You know, it might be yummy too. So I would experiment with that. All right, I added a little bit more flavor. I think I'm gonna put a little, I am gonna put just about, I'm gonna use 1/4 teaspoon and I'm gonna add my taco seasoning in the guac. And I'm gonna slice this last lime that I have and just squeeze in by hand versus using my little juicer device thing. A little bit more lime flavor. So I've tweaked it. And let's see what this tastes like. Yes, I like it. That works. Okay, so I apologize on the time, everyone. I hope I didn't throw anyone off too much. I have a bag of kale. I got it rinsed and ready. I have the Luciano and the Dino kale. And so I'm gonna bring you guys, I'm gonna use both just for fun. I'll bring you guys back over here. Computer, back over here. My beans. And so here, I'm just gonna use my fingers and just rip off the kale and put it in, just in small sizes. And then I'm only gonna let it steam or cook. I'm gonna mix it up about, I don't know, 2 to 3 minutes. So I would use 2 bunches or two stems of kale. But I have reserved a half.
I have a question.
Of my cashew water.
Quick question.
Oh,
What all are we supposed to have in the skillet by now?
Just your beans and whatever veggies you wanted. So the peppers and the onion, and then the beans.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem at all. Are there any other questions right now?
Jean had that question.
Yes, you could have reserved half a cup of my cashew water for the sauce. For the which sauce? For sauce in the, with the veggies and beans.
No, cashew sauce. I'm sorry, I can't make the avocado sauce, so I'm trying, or I mean,
Oh,
so I'm trying to make that cashew sauce without a recipe. So I'm just wondering if I could have reserved half a cup of that water to make this.
yes. Yeah, I think that would have been a great idea and it just would have added a little bit more flavor and nutrients. Yep.
Well, I drained them like you asked me to, so my bad, or your bad.
That's okay. Next time around, I drained my cashew water too. So
You just add all of those ingredients and blend it till it's smooth. Is that what we're doing with the?
for the cashew, yes.
Okay.
Yep. It's that. Yep. You add everything, and I didn't note that in the recipe, but for the cashew dressing, it's literally just adding all of those ingredients and blending till it's all blended and creamy. And I did when I made mine. So here's mine that I made not last night, but I ended up adding, it's kind of thick. You can kind of see the texture there. I ended up adding a little bit more like water, just because I wanted a little bit more creamier versus the thickness. But I think it turned out really good. And I bought extra cashews. So I want to make a cashew gravy, which is one of my favorites.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna go on mute so I can turn my blender on.
Okay, sounds good. So, and I'm gonna turn my skillet off because my kale is nice and green. My quinoa is definitely done. Actually, the glass is just hot. So I'm at a stage where I am ready to assemble and put everything together in a bowl. And then we can share out and show our bowls if we're ready to eat. We don't have to eat together because of the time, but it'd be nice just to kind of see anyone's bowl if you're at that point. But mine is all done.
Ah.
Where's everyone at? Rich, you're not quite there.
Well, I had another tomato, so I just sliced it all up and put it in my guac,
Nice.
and I just mixed it all up. So my guac is done. I still got to do this kale thing.
Okay, that's just a
and-
couple minutes. Mhm.
Yep, and I took the heat off of my skillet, so I just turned it back on again so that it gets hot enough to probably heat up this kale that I'm adding,
Mhm.
right?
Yep, and you could probably just keep it off because
Oh.
really we're just steaming the kale.
Oh, okay.
Or kind of blanching it, I guess, in a way. If you
Mhm.
overcook or overheat the kale, it'll lose that pretty bright green color. And I think the food will look nicer if it's more green, as well as hold more of the nutrients.
Yeah.
The less it's
Well, it
cooked.
happens to be my favorite color, so,
Green?
oh yeah.
Yeah, me too. Green and purple.
I'm a
Okay.
yellow and blue, but you know what those colors make?
Yellow and blue?
Yeah.
No, what they mean?
No, what they make.
Oh, right. Yes,
Green.
exactly. Yes.
Yellow and blue. Yeah, sorry.
Yellow, I was thinking red.
No, I like purple too, of course.
Yeah, basic color theory here, guys. And blue makes green, not purple or orange.
I had red and blue instead.
Oh.
Yeah, right?
So I was just gonna show people my chipotle or my cashew sauce.
Yes.
And I actually made a different recipe because of the peppers and adobo.
Yeah.
All that they had were jars with sugar in it, and I think that's about all you can find looking it up online.
Yeah.
And refined sugar that's organic I can't have because it's processed with animal bones when it goes through the charring process, refining process. So anyway, I found a recipe that's kind of close to what that was, but used diced green chilies instead that were, in the little 4-ounce can. So anyway, that all gets mixed up and nice and creamy. And so I made that last night. So I'll be warming that up and putting it on.
Nice. Oh, let me grab my Pico. So I'm just putting everything out here on my stove to show you guys and then take a picture. So that's another thing too. We'd love for you to take pictures of what you created, and you can share that in the Facebook page. Just put your photographer hat on, make it look pretty, and take a picture. Okay.
Wow.
All right. So here is.
Okay.
Okay, so let me see if I can turn the camera. So we made a lot. We made a lot, you guys. Half an hour over time. Thanks for hanging out. So my computer plugged in because it's old school. Hold on. Let me move this.
I wonder if you can zoom in on. No.
And I'll just talk for a minute. If you are not a part of the Minneapolis Edible Boulevard's Facebook page, we'd love to have you join us. And as soon as we get done here, I am going to send out an email to you all that has a survey. We'd love to have you take the survey, and also a pre-registration for our next cooking class, which will be on the 22nd of January. So we'd love to have you join us for that, and invite your friends, any networks that you have. We'd love them to join us too.
All right, so here is what I got going on. This is everything we did.
Oh,
Oh, hold on.
I think I might.
My computer. I have to keep it plugged in, otherwise my computer will shut down, which I don't want that to happen in the middle of this. So we made our grain, or rice or quinoa. We made our Pico De Gallo. We made our walnut meat. We made our black beans with veggies. We made our own homemade taco seasoning. Some of us even made a vegan chipotle dressing, which is in the can there. So this is all we did.
Kelly, can you
Wow.
take a photo of that?
I sure did. I already did.
Awesome.
So I got a picture of it all laid out, and then now I'm going to grab my bowl and make it look pretty in my serving dish. So is everyone ready to serve up? And then we can say our farewell and enjoy your meal. I have a prettier bowl somewhere, but I want to find. All right. So thanks for sharing the next class, Michelle. It's coming up. I don't yet have in mind what we'll make yet, but I will get my stuff together and give it some thought. All right. So I'm gonna serve up my quinoa. And Michelle, did I hear you say you're gonna warm up your chipotle vegan chipotle sauce?
I will warm it up.
Okay, yeah, that is a good option. I wasn't gonna warm mine, it's been in the fridge, but you certainly could warm it. That's a great idea. So I have my quinoa. I'm now gonna put my veggies and black beans in here. And I want everything to kind of show, so I'm gonna put it off to the side a little bit. my walnut meat. I'm gonna top it aside. And I'm gonna put my pico now in there. It's kind of on top. And my guac. And then I'm gonna drizzle this spicy dressing. Well, it's not so much gonna drizzle, it's plop. But I'm gonna put a little bit of that on there. And if you have another like spicy sauce, like what you shared, Rich, sounded really yummy.
Oh, yeah.
That chili, you could use that instead. All right, so. I think I need a better camera, and let's turn this light on. We can see it better. Are there any other questions for me? Okay. All right. So I have a little bit better lighting now. All right. So here's what mine looks like.
Wow.
Okay.
Did you put the salsa, sauce on
I
at some point?
did. I did.
Or
And
the
actually,
pico,
I
whatever it
probably,
is?
yep, I could even put a little bit more. Yeah, I did. I just put a little bit more on top of the guac. And then my grain is on the bottom. So there's mine. Does anyone have their bowl ready or just want to share or show snapshot of the dishes in their own separate container?
I'm working on my assemblage, but I'll show you my space. I don't know. Let's see how this works.
Okay, nice.
Where are we? I can't see mine. But yeah, I got it all here. I don't know. You can see it or not.
Yeah, okay, looks good.
Yeah. Working on the bowl. All right, put that together.
Yeah.
This is
No,
fantastic. I had a great time.
Oh, good, wonderful. You guys get to watch me take my first bite.
Well, my grandson is here, so I have also made a non-vegan side. I've got a flank steak over there that I've made for him to add to his bowl. But
Nice.
I love the veggies. Honestly, I have not steamed kale before. I've always used it fresh or
Oh.
thrown it like in a, like in a smoothie or something. So this was, that's kind of eye-opening. It's so easy just to throw it in and steam it a bit. So
Yeah, and exactly. And it doesn't need very long either.
no, it's very
Yeah.
quick. So thanks for
Yeah.
that. Especially thanks for that tip.
No
It was all
problem.
good. Thank you. It was great.
Good. Wonderful. And Michelle, I see you got your,
Sorry. I saw mom and dad's there. Did you want to show it again?
Yeah, we had it on there, yeah.
I
You don't
have,
want
I
you don't
have,
want to show it again?
this is Jean.
Well, I'll show mine while you're maybe getting yours.
it's good.
Nice.
A little
We
messy
don't know
look.
how to do it.
Yay, nice job, Michelle.
Yay. Good job.
I don't know how it's hard to make it look like the food bowls and the displays that you see on food stations and pages and social, but it still looks good. Oh, there you go, Daryl and Linda. That looks good. Okay, Rich.
Here we go.
Yay. All right.
Woohoo.
Bon appetit. Thumbs up.
They all look awesome.
Well, great job, everyone. Thank you so much for your time and energy and sharing what you shared and getting, yourself and what you do and what we brought you here. It was really nice to see the familiar faces again and to see some new faces. So thank you so much. It's been fun. Thank you, Michelle, for all of this and coordinating and bringing me in to share.
Well, thank you, Kelly. And if everybody can give me just a few minutes to eat, then I will send out the survey and registration for next time. So
Perfect.
thank you for coming.
All right.
you.
Enjoy the rest of your
Thank you.
weekend.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Good job, Kelly.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Michelle.
Bon
Bye-bye.
appetit.
Bon
Bon
appetit.
appetit.
But I would, you can do it this way.